This is Mimi, the movie dog. You can follow her on Instagram. She is the boss of the show.
How did you become interested in working in the film industry?
You know, I didn't even know it existed, honestly. I came from a little bitty town in New Mexico and had no idea that the film industry even was a thing. And when I moved to Tucson and lived in Tucson for almost 20 years, and they did a lot of film work in Tucson when I was there. And that happened to be, I was at the right place. It's true. I was at the right place at the right time, and they were doing a lot of Westerns, and I was at the end of a career change, and this seemed to present itself. And one day I was shooting photos for a catalog, and the next day I was on a movie set. So it just worked out well, and I've been in the decorating end of it from the beginning.
Has the decorating end of it, was that your initial interest, or that's just how it worked out?
That is just how it worked out, but it became quite obvious quite quickly that I found my niche, you know. So I started out as a set dresser, and you know, cleaning up coffee cups and horse poop off the western streets, and then went to be a buyer and an assistant decorator, and then eventually a decorator, and that's what I love. That's really my passion.
Who has influenced you most in your professional life?
You know, it's hard to even land on one person because it's a culmination of a lot of strong people that have been willing to share their experience and share their talents in all kinds of fields. I started originally in retail, you know, back right out of high school, in high school and out of high school. And that's where my experience came from. And I learned how to do a multitude of different skills. You know, you learn how to talk to people. You learn how to manage people. You learn how to manage a crew and do the books and manage a budget and all of the things that are necessary in this. And you know, fortunately, I was blessed to have a boss that was a fearless woman who taught me everything she knew and was willing to share with me everything she knew. So I think that gave me good groundwork. You know, my mother's another example of another strong woman that has pretty much forged, you know, a path, is my guidepost in life. You know, with her work ethic, she taught me work ethic. And, you know, taught me how to do the job right, and get it done and never quit. So there's been a lot of influences in my life.
Yeah. When you're not on a project, you're in Texas with your husband, and I believe you guys own a ranch, is that correct?
We do. I'm a New Mexican, but I ended up migrating to Texas and married a Texan. And we live down in San Marcos, Texas, and we run cattle, and my husband's a team roper, and so the Yellowstone experience certainly speaks. When I first read that first script, it certainly spoke to me. I could definitely relate it. I was captivated by the first scene. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful to be on this project because I sort of have a little bit of a shorthand when it comes to knowing, you know, what is in the script and what that scene is going to require. It's my life. So, you know, it's a great show to be on for me.
So how close is it to real life when you see the scenes? How close do they get it to real life?
Oh, we make sure we try to be consistent about it. With me, the authentic part is making the sets look authentic. And if you go on any of our sets, you'll find usually one of my husband's hats, you know, because he has worn them and sweated them out and has the proper crease in them and the level of dirt, so that they're not just new hats hanging up, straight from the store onto the set. So, we try to bring that level of authenticity to this show, especially, which is our goal on any show. We want to be as authentic as we can.
As you know, the bunkhouse is a very popular set, not just on the show, but also with the crew and anyone that visits. Well, what is your favorite set?
I'd have to say it's a bunkhouse. And it was a lot of fun because there were a lot of people in there that have a lot of different little personalities that we tried to showcase in there. And, we got it right. Lloyd, Forey Smith, who plays Lloyd, he is an old friend of mine. I've known him for years and years. And so when I found out he was on this show and that he was going to be in the bunkhouse, I reached out to him. And we actually have some of his actual rodeo pictures there by his bed. And, so when he walked in, he was kind of blown away because it felt like home, and he took a nap.
What do you find to be the most satisfying part of your job?
I think, there's lots of very satisfying parts. Starting a new project and going into a new town. And ultimately, the people that we work with, we shop with, they become friends for life. So I think that part of it's very satisfying. Just the location part of it. I love being on location and, going into new places. I think it's the most satisfying part of the actual job is when we take an empty box like this studio, and you guys have seen it happen where, we start out with unimproved space and then you guys walk in and we've got a miraculous set, that we've placed into that space. And people, I love it when they go, wow. That makes me, it's creating the illusion that gives me a lot of satisfaction.
When you do start a project from scratch, what are some issues you face right away?
Just the gathering of the stuff. We break the set down, we break the script down, we break the sets out, and collaborate with the director and the production designer to see what we need. And then it's gathering all that stuff. Thank God for the internet. I don't know, I've been in this business long enough where we didn't have that, and you'd get into a new town and you would go find the yellow pages and go through the yellow pages to find, the things that you were looking for. And the internet, I would say, way far and above has been the biggest asset, to making our life a little bit easier, for sure. Hands down. That and cell phones,
Sure.
You don't have to find a payphone and go answer a 911 page from your pager, and hope you've got quarters in your pocket.
What's been your favorite production that you've worked on?
They're all good. I always say it's the one I'm on now. And I'd have to say that kind of holds true with this one. I love coming back to this one. This is my third season with this show. And I look forward to it. I go home, I ranch, I have my real life, when we're on hiatus, and I can't wait to get back up here. It's just been a joy being up here and getting to know the crew and the cast and the locations and our vendors and you guys. It's been a treat to be up here. So it's not, 112 and 89% humidity every day, like it is back in Texas. So we love the climate, we love the location, and we love being up here.
Can you talk a little bit about your crew?
Oh, I have a local crew. That is part of the joy and surprise, and I don't know what other adjectives I can use, of being on location is you usually wind up with a local crew. And this is my third season with this crew, and they're amazing. They're amazing. I tell people all the time that I will pit them against any crew in the country, and they will, rise to the top on that because they are amazing. amazing professionals. We have people on our crew that have a lot of experience, that have been doing this for, I don't know, 10 or 15 years. And I have people on this crew that this is their very first show. And it gives me a great deal of joy to see these people take ownership of this project and just keep learning and keep learning and keep getting better and keep getting better. And so I see that, every day with every project. You guys sat in the office with me and saw some of my crew come in, and it's like they're turnkey. They know how to do it. They know what they're doing, and it makes everything such a joy. Every day I look forward to coming to work every day. I'm not sure everybody can say that.
You buy a lot from antique shops when dressing a set. What does your process look like?
Well, especially for this show, and it varies from show to show, but especially this show, we have a lot of generational history that we try to project. So when you put something on set, you want it to feel like it belongs. And something new is just not always right. So we have really made it our goal to go out and find those things that are antiques or have that wear on them so that they look like they've been there in that home, in that set for generations. So if you look closely onto some of our stage sets and in the Montana set, we very purposefully put a layer of antiques that were passed down from the generations in with some of the new furnishings that, just as an update, just to make it kind of a seamless transition from, the old to the new.
Paying attention to detail is a key part of your job. What are some of the little details you cover and set deck covers that an audience wouldn't generally notice?
Well, if you go into the bunkhouse, for instance, and you look in the sinks and on the toilets, you would think that they are the grossest things that you've ever seen. And they were actually brand spanking new fixtures that were aged by our scenic department and brought down to make look like they had been there forever. And I don't think people realize that that level of detail is what we put in it just to make it feel like it is a real deal. I'm sure there are people that see our show that don't realize that this is even on a stage. And that's where we want them to be. We want them to think that they're walking into a bunkhouse that has been there, that these guys, it's like a cowboy dorm, basically. So that's what we want to give the audience and make them feel like that's what they experience.
So what's the secret to aging a brand new toilet?
That was one of my favorite things. I would give tours on sets. And invariably, we would have the old gas station, with the really, really gross, toilet. And I would go up and touch it, which would just gross everybody out. And and it's all paint. It's all paint. We have a team of very talented scenics, and they come in and make it look real.
What is it like decorating for a different time period? Is any one particularly harder than the other?
It's all the same. I think one of the challenges that we have now is technology. And it's harder to bring, if you're doing a show, I did a Matthew McConaughey show it was set in the early 80s. And so the technology was so different, and it was very difficult to find things that actually worked or would work on camera or that we could adapt. So that's a little bit of a challenge, but in general, that's kind of the thrill of the whole thing, is digging in and figuring out what we need to do and what we need to bring to it and what we need to find. That's the joy of, the scavenger hunt that we go on every time we open a script.
Now, if you weren't in the right place at the right time to get into this industry, what would you be doing?
Who knows? I mean, this was such an unscripted unimaginable turn that who knows what I would be doing, you know. Something artistic, I'm sure, because I've always loved doing things with my hands and doing creative projects. So, you know, eventually, who knows, I may have found this.
What do you like to do in your downtime?
Quilting. That's kind of my therapy. You know, it has been doing it about 10 years now, and it's another creative outlet for me, and definitely therapy after working 16-hour days for a week, you know, to go home and spend time, you know, just decompressing and creating something, you know, beautiful and hopefully meaningful. So it's definitely a passion of mine.
What do you do with the quilts?
They're gifts. Yeah. You know, they're all gifts. You know, I send them to family, to friends, to people going through a tough time. You know, so they're pretty much all gifts. You know, labors of love.
What are your thoughts on the Utah Film Studios?
The Utah Film Studios are some of the best ones I have ever been in. The facility itself is beautiful and wonderful and clean and spacious. We love being here. They seem to be very accommodating. The staff is remarkable. You know, they facilitate us at every turn. You know, we feel like that the staff here is kind of a partner for us, that if we get in a jam, we can always come to the staff and say, we're in a jam, we need help. And we can always get that. So it's been a joy. I've been doing this a long time, and I have been in a lot of really crummy little places. And I've been in some nice places, and this one definitely winds up at the top of the heap.